Hello, my name's Kathy Bissell. Welcome to the Golf Show 2.0. Today we have a return guest, Jason Becker, who's with Golf Life Navigators. And if you don't know anything about what they do, let's put it this way. If you're moving to another state and you want to know what's a great place to live and be able to play golf, he can answer that question. And so can all the people who work for his company in different states. Gary, why don't you start with some questions? Because I know they did a new survey to find out what people are looking for, and the answers were really interesting.
Well, I must have the wrong sheet. I thought he was with Golf Life Alligators.
No,
I had a lot of animal-based questions here about reptiles, but
that's me.
just will wing it.
Yeah, I won't be able to
I
help
don't know
there.
where that came from. It's Florida-based, Florida humor.
Yeah.
You guys did a survey, and the one thing, I know there's some general widespread concepts you want to talk about. The one thing that caught my eye right away was you asked people what they want for important golf amenities. And number one, 84.8% listed practice facility, which is right up my alley. That's surprising to me that it would be that high because we're talking about Florida retirees. A lot of recreational golfers just want to play, don't want to practice. But talk about the survey and talk about any of the results that you found that were surprising like that one.
Yeah, Gary. First of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. We've been studying the trends now for 8 years or so, and practice facility year after year always leads the way for number one most desired golf amenity. Well, the typical user of Golf Life Navigators is an 11 handicap, plays 3 or 4 days a week,
Okay.
54 years old, so they're probably still working or envision working virtually. And so practice facility is important. So I tell clubs all the time, if you're not investing or have a plan to invest into that asset, you're going to miss out because it's weighing on the decision process for the consumer for sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
an 11 handicapper is I wouldn't say a stick, but pretty close. One step away, maybe they have dreams of being a stick, a 5 handicap, a scratch golfer. Yeah. They're good enough golfers where they do want to practice. That's interesting because we tend to think of people retiring to Florida and going to the villages and just playing
right
9-hole executive courses. That's right away. I'm surprised by that.
Well, yeah, and so time is a big deal, right? If you only have an hour, you want to go out there. We're also, we only have 5 years remaining of 10,000 people a day retiring. So you have to start thinking about Gen X, my generation, and time is important. And so clubs are going to have to invest into the practice facilities. I live in Southwest Florida, which is a retirement capital of the country. And there's a lot of golf courses now with music at the driving range, vending or, little bar areas for just lounging. It's a much different atmosphere than it was 20 years ago.
Wow. I have not been out practicing lately, so I don't know. I bow to your expertise.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that, Bill.
So the next generation has different desires, what they want. I mean, are they near retirement age or do they still have a ways to go?
No, I think that they're planning for sure, certainly for retirement, but because a lot of positions are a hybrid, you can live in Florida or Texas and still work your position in Chicago if that's where you're based out of. So, the generational gap is widening for sure at the clubs. I give general managers a lot of credit. You're managing 2 different expectations or groups of people with different expectations on things like, cell phone policy, music on the golf cart, those types of things. So clubs are really starting to have to posture for how can we create value at the club for someone that might not be there every single day playing golf, like a lot of typical baby boomers are. And I think it's going to come down to like service-based amenities, car detailing, childcare, entertainment, movie night at the driving range, things like that, more family-friendly atmosphere.
I'm glad you're thinking about childcare because I know back when my ex-husband and I used to play golf, the first thing was, well, where can we get a babysitter? And at that time we were playing at public courses, not a private course. Later we switched, but the thing was, where can we get somebody who's going to babysit for 6 hours? Because that's how long it takes to drive and play around golf and then drive back and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And childcare is a problem for anybody who's got small children.
Yep, you're 100% right.
Never mind childcare. I think you missed the important point, Kathy. There's a club somewhere that does car detailing while you play. Yeah, now that's important. Where's that club, Jason? Sign me up. I'm moving.
Yeah, right.
I bet that affects and I'm getting ahead of myself, but I bet that affects the generation affects even the clubhouse services like the dining.
Mm-hmm.
I would think maybe the younger generation isn't that into fine dining with white tablecloths in the dining room, and they're more, we've created a whole generation of Chipotle grab and go people.
Mm-hmm.
Do these next generation have different interest in as far as dining goes at a club?
Oh, excuse me. Definitely. I think the numbers are like 58% of people that are looking for a private club are basing their decision on the dining atmosphere, options, etc. And casual restaurant is the number one factor. Sports bars, whether the club's open for breakfast is a big one. And of course, is the club family friendly? Can I bring my grandkids, nieces, nephews to the club?
Well, that should always be up there at the top of the list, in my opinion. But in years past, it wasn't. I know that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the childcare thing, is you said, that's a big deal for her. It's been a big thing that kept women out of golf or from playing as much golf. So that's a big one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another big one since COVID, golf has had this resurrection and it's more popular than ever. The numbers show that. All of a sudden, it's hard to even get a tee time at a lot of public courses or even your own club. I bet. What kind of changes have you seen in how interested people are in the tee time procedures, Jason?
Yeah, the tee time structure is a big one on the golf amenity list. I think it's number 6 or 7 most important. A lot of people want a pencil and paper tee sheet, and not deal with the Chelsea tee time system or calling in and being on a lottery. But as club officials, you almost have to have that just to keep it fair for everyone.
Yeah.
Back when I first got my card as a head golf professional in the early 2000s, and we'd have people lined up out the door at 6 a.m. because that's how you booked a tee time for 4 days out. I had to break up fights because of people cutting in line. So I'm glad those days are over, but with the new automated systems. But for a lot of folks, they just don't want that. And so they're going to be asking the club, how do I book a tee time? What's my availability window look like? What's the chances of me playing 3 or 4 days a week? Is that even possible? So you either fall into the men's and ladies leagues or you're on your own.
Yeah, that's a great problem to have, but it's still a problem. Have you seen, has tee time availability, or however you measure it in your surveys, have you seen that go up a fair amount?
Reports from the clubs are they're packed every day in the Sun Belt. For the next 4 months, there's not a tee time available, and that's most of the rounds happen in the Sun Belt, over the next several days. So I think consumers expect it, or if they're briefed and kind of orientated into the culture of the club before they start, becoming a member, it shouldn't be a shock to the system. But it kind of goes back to if tee time availability is really important to you as a consumer, a standalone golf club or a club that's not bundled, quote unquote, where you buy a home and you're an automatic member might be the better route for you. Whereas in the bundled communities, tee time availability is a lot more difficult because if you have 600 homes, that's essentially 1,200 members, right? And so tee sheets are full for sure.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Has in your surveys, has the percentage of people interested in walking gone up or declined or stayed the same? Has that changed at all?
It's always been stable, Gary. It's for some people it's very important, but others it's fine if they have it or not. Most these developer-based communities in the Sun Belt don't have walking because it was all real estate driven. There's long distances between green and tee. So consumers just expect it. It's different than it is up north. But a lot of clubs too will have like a 6-hole loop that you could do like after 3 p.m. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, just to satisfy that demand.
How about club professionals in general? Has the interest in having a club professional and maybe instruction at a club, has that changed significantly?
They're both top 5, PGA professional on staff and instruction, certainly is a demand.
So demand is up for instruction.
Yeah. Especially group clinics, especially in the Florida market, when the females are coming to the state and retiring and coming to a club, they might not have golfed a lot up north. And so this is their first kind of experience on the golf course. So to get out there and really learn etiquette, on the basics of the game, meet people is important. So the teaching professionals that I talk to a lot, that's a big part of their business, is just the beginner that really wants to get out there and just enjoy it, but doesn't really know the basics.
The etiquette part, yes. Well, that's good. I'm glad people are that interested in golf and in learning how to play.
Yeah.
Since we're sort of at peak golf, I was in Myrtle Beach last fall, and the people there were saying, "Oh, Myrtle Beach is now almost the number one or close to being the number one place people are moving to in retirement." What kind of changes are you seeing about where people want to go now? What kind of requests are you getting? And, what are the hot spots, and what areas have cooled off, mainly because they're oversaturated?
That's a really good question. So we've been studying that over the last couple of years of feeder markets and where folks are going to. And pre-COVID, it was the big 5. It was Palm Springs, Scottsdale, Southwest Florida, Southeast Florida, and Hilton Head. Those were the big markets. COVID hit, run on golf. Everybody becomes waitlisted in those markets. And so for the consumer who didn't want to pay, a premium nor wait 2 or 3 years to get to become a member, started looking at ancillary markets like Myrtle Beach, Greenville, Tucson, Arizona, smaller markets, if you will. So we've seen that when you're just looking at where in relation folks are going. Naples will tell you too, like their overall leads, if you will, are going down over the last couple of years because, again, consumers are looking at these ancillary markets.
Where are people coming from the most? Are they coming from Chicago and New York and Connecticut, or are they coming from other places?
Yeah, the big metropolitan markets, folks, a lot of New Yorkers coming down. Obviously, Florida's a tax-friendly state, so people domiciling here. But the Canadian demand has lessened. Yeah, well, political reasons, to be frank. That's why. But Chicago, Michigan, all across the north, anybody looking is looking at the Sun Belt for that winter escape. Because to your point, was it 12 degrees where you're at, Gary? I mean, who wants to be in that?
It's 14 degrees in Pittsburgh with snow flurries.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I was whining this morning because I had to put on a jacket and worry about a couple of plants. So.
On the other hand, I wonder what the weather is in Greenland right now.
Right.
Probably worse.
We'll probably find out.
So I'm signing up for Golf Light Navigators, let's say, and how do you figure out where to send me and what kind of course? I mean, you find me a house too, but how do you figure out, for the average person, how do you figure out where you think I would be ideally suited?
Well,
factoring in that I'm media scum and nobody wants to live near me.
Well, just as you so eloquently put 10 years ago when you wrote the first story on us, eHarmony meets Zillow for golf. So think of it that way. As a consumer, it's almost
Has it really been 10 years, Jason?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We met at Whistling Straight. Yeah. Similar to a dating website. So user A is the club, and they put in everything they have to offer. and user B is the consumer, yourself, and you're putting in everything that you're looking for. And then the algorithm matches. So for the club's perspective, you want to have the right member there. You don't want someone to join and be unhappy. So quote unquote divorce rate, right? So this is very similar. So the consumer can filter search, kind of expedite the search process, and then the club's meeting someone that's going to be likely a happy member for the long term. And then we educate them too. So if you took what we call the Pro Guide, which is our automated questionnaire, and it's free, it's complimentary for consumer use. As soon as you take that, we send you the top 5 questions to ask the membership director. So you go in, you're educated, you're asking these specific questions, getting really good information to make your decision. And for the club, they're providing all this information, so there's no surprises once you join. So it works great for both ways.
So you have satisfied customers on both ends?
Yeah, I mean, we've had 66,000 people take a Pro Guide, use the search algorithm in the last 8 years. So I like to think we helped a lot of people make the right decision.
And where do they go online to find that guide, Jason?
Golflifenavigators.com. Mm-hmm.
Should I have done this 5 or 6 or 8 years ago, or how much has the price gone up for retirement? If I was going to say leave, did that boat pull out? Should I have done it a lot sooner? Or is it not gone up that much?
It's more expensive for sure. I mean, the average budget.
Well, the messenger.
Average budget 7 years ago was about $45,000 for a consumer looking for a golf membership, which aligned nicely with what the market was offering. And today it's $85,000, so pretty much double.
Wow, that's a big difference.
The average real estate budget was about $450,000 7 years ago, and now it's closer to $800,000. So I think consumers have adapted to the marketplace, obviously, but at the same time, that's what the market is giving us. So you have no choice but to up your budget.
And people were talking about the price of eggs. They forgot to talk about the price of real estate.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like maybe my retirement's Ponca City, Oklahoma. Then I don't know.
Right.
Sounds pretty high, Jason.
There's a spot for you somewhere, that's for sure.
Yes, probably. Well, I don't want to say where I should really go. What else did your recent surveys tell you that maybe you wouldn't have picked up?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I'm still yelling from a soapbox on is that the residential clubs need to be very cognizant that the consumer demand to live outside of the gates of a club and be a non-resident member are increasing. So that was high before COVID. It was about 50% of the marketplace. During COVID, it dropped about 40%, 39% only wanted to be outside the gates. Now it's back up to 51% again. And so this is a big one for clubs, because if you don't have a non-resident membership option, you need to start building one.
Yeah.
And number 2, you got to be really careful, because if you get too many non-resident members, are they going to vote yes for a big capital improvement plan 5 years down the road to the clubhouse pool, the tennis courts, if they don't live there? So it's a cause for concern for the clubs with that growing demand.
It depends on how much they use the club, I'm sure.
Right.
When you say non-resident, you don't mean living 3 blocks away outside the development. You mean out 50 or 100 miles away, right?
No, outside the development.
Okay.
I think the consumers have a perception that if I live in the gates of a golf community in Arizona, am I going to be really too young for that? Are all the average homeowners going to be in their 70s and I'm here in my mid 50s, and I want to be near shopping and dining and things of that nature? So from a messaging and marketing perspective, we're imploring the clubs to have it on their website, all the fun social activities in here. And when it's not, we do have younger members that live in here, so you're not going to feel like the odd duck by buying in. So it's just misconceptions from the consumer's point of view.
If bingo and knitting are on the list, they might be older than you want.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you guys have watched Seinfeld. Remember Del Boca Vista? Jerry's parents lived down there. And I mean, that's kind of the image, right? The fighting on the boards and all this and that. I think that's kind of the image the consumers have.
It's funny how things. What are the forces yeah, well, you mentioned the age thing. Is has the pricing changed? Who's looking also? The rise in
Um,
price.
yeah, I mean, HOA fees are not cheap in most of these clubs. 15 to, or I'm not sorry, that's with dues. All in between dues and HOA fees, it could be 25 to $30,000 for the year. So yeah, the budget is a big part of it. Plus, some people just don't want to be part of the HOA scene and have rules and want to be kind of have more of a liberal approach to where they live. But the other side of the market wants that. They want that consistency and to be part again of a community. So it's really important for clubs to understand before that prospective member comes in where their head is and what it is that they're looking for, so they can posture correctly and give the right message.
And there are some people who want to be in a golf community, but they don't want to necessarily play golf. They may want the social aspects,
Right.
or they may be tennis or pickleball kind of players, or
Hmm.
um, just want to play bridge with their friends, if people still do that. My
Right.
mother used to all the time, and she
Yeah.
certainly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's a kind of different thing that goes on too.
Yeah, most clubs have a social membership offering. What I caution clubs on though is to know your capture rate. And so what that means in the industry is new home buyer becomes full golf member. If that capture rate is 40% or less, that's a lot of red flags. That means that 60% of your full golf members are going to be non-resident members. So
Yeah.
you want that capture rate to be 60 or 70%. That's one of the reasons why clubs are really starting to take over or gain some sort of control of the real estate, who's buying in there, who's selling,
Okay.
and making sure that our capture rate is healthy.
And
You've got to have a captive audience to come over and use the facility, and especially the dining
Right.
and the bar, because you're paying workers to work there, and they
Oh yeah.
need your chef, your restaurant needs to make money or at least break even. You're paying people, you got to have people come in there to eat, and you got to drive in there with whatever kind of deals you can do. It's weird
100%.
how golf course is at least two separate businesses. There's golf and there's the restaurant and bar. And now with what you're talking about with uh, people's interest in living inside a gate, you almost need to be in the real estate business too.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It's at least to have some sort of knowledge of what's occurring and what the markets are doing, and again, who's buying and who's selling. Because you could have a real estate agent that's taking listings on homes, marketing them or listing them at a lower price than they should be, and that's affecting everyone else's home in there. If
oh yeah.
that one just sold for 750K, that means my house is only worth that. So it's important, and it's a trend that you're going to start seeing in the industry, Gary. Clubs are going to start taking more control of this.
Well,
How can they do
yeah.
So there's different models out there. We're helping with one in particular where you just give a broker a office, right, and they can have a
that?
little team, and but that broker attends every manager's meeting, gives their report on what's going on in the market, attends every member event, just like the chef or
Okay.
the head golf professional does. Is part of the culture of the club, right?
Okay.
And then how the club can monetize it, because you can't give commissions to a non-real estate agent or not brokerage.
Right.
So
Right.
I've seen models where the club will just charge rent, quote unquote, to the broker, and based upon a formula of gross sales that occurred in the club that year. So the brokerage would write a check for $100,000 at the end of the year for that rent, or invest that $100,000 into marketing on behalf of the club, so the club can finally get a little bit of control and monetize real estate. Because as we know, private clubs are non-for-profit, so anything that they can find that adds a little bit more revenue to the books every year has their attention.
I was going to say sometimes private clubs are for profit, or at least if they're owned by a large corporation, they're going to be
Correct.
for profit.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. The management company would be, or a corporation that owns
Yeah.
clubs. It'd be for profit. Yep.
And that would be different than the individual golf course that was built by a group of members or.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And from the consumer's perspective, I see it's like 50-50. Some people want that structure that's okay. A corporation owns this golf course. That means there's no boards. I don't have to be involved in any voting, decision making. They're going to write the check for capital. Right. But then there's others that they don't want to be penny pinched, right? And so they want to have a say in the club and be part of the management team on the board. So it really goes 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it being a pro or a con. I'm a member of the club that's used to be Club Corp and has been sold and resold, and now is operated by Invited. And we don't have a golf committee or anything anymore because Invited makes all the decisions. And so far, in some cases, it's been regardless of what the members want. So there's that issue. Your corporation may not be in tune with what the members want, and you have some friction created there. On the other hand, you don't have the internal squabbling that you can have in a golf committee where 100%. People are complaining about the pin positions and the maintenance and all that. So it's a double-edged sword, so to speak.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and everybody has their own wants and needs, and a lot of people just want to get off the airplane and go play golf and not worry about any politics. Others want to be part of it.
Well, you can have guys sitting in office maybe who aren't golf people making decisions about a golf course 600 miles away without any idea what the members are interested in. So that's a trap you can fall into. Anyways, I'm just one modest lottery win away from getting out of Ponca City and aiming higher, Myrtle Beach. I don't know where, but I'll call you when I need you, Jason. Thanks for filling us in. Golf Life Navigators at golflifenavigators.com. Jason's the man. They tell you where to live and where to play. It's a great combination. Thanks for being with us, Jason.
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.